Hi there, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to talk about two approaches that are fundamentally the same thing, but there might be some differences between them. So CBI and CLIL, or also called CLIL, are the focus in this video. So CBI stands for Content-Based Instruction and CLIL or CLIL stands for Content and Language Integrated Learning. And so both of them are fundamentally the same thing. It means that the integration of language and content. Like for example, you want to learn geography and you also want to learn French. How to kill two birds with one stone? Yeah, learn geography while it is presented in French. So like the material and also the language with which this course is presented is French, and like you have some basic background about this French thing, and also you know some things about geography, but you want to master them both. That's why you use these approaches, like the integration of content and language. So let me talk a bit about the differences of them. CBI was introduced in America, in the United States, and CLIL was introduced in Europe. That's the first distinction here. The other one is that CLIL was officially introduced by the European Commission, I guess, and it was introduced to support a law which said that each European, like 1+2 law, which said that each European had to learn 2 other communicative languages other than his or her own native language. So it was introduced officially to support this law and also in support of multilingualism, as well as conserving the interdependence of each language itself. But CBI was not officially introduced in America. It had so many, and it also has so many advocates and so many supporters, but it was not very official and like it was not formal. So these are two like distinctions and very small differences between these two approaches, but they're fundamentally the same thing. All right, you might ask why these approaches gained so much popularity in both Europe and in America. It actually is related to the fact that before these two approaches, there was another approach called CLT, Communicative Language Teaching, which focused on teaching language in a communicative way, or it focused on the communicative competence, like the interaction and the functions. So here, these approaches took the basic and the most important principle of a CLT and applied it in themselves. That's why they also gained so much popularity. You want to be able to communicate in that language? All right, use content to talk about like anything, psychology, geography, nursing, or like anything that comes to your mind. Take a subject, take a content, and that use language to communicate. All right, so that was the basic solution, I guess, that was kind of suggested to this problem, and it was a method, not a method, it was an approach in itself. A very core principle in these approaches is called that you need to use language not as an end to itself, but as a means of understanding content. So that's a basic core element. So either you put your focus on language or either you put your focus on content. You need to use both of them integrated as well, like you focus on one of them. There are some theories of learning in these approaches. The first one is that lexis is central. So imagine that you want to talk about geography. You need some registers, you need some technical words, you need some like subject related specific words in order to talk about geography. This is called lexis. So lexis is very central in these approaches. And also the second one, grammar. Grammar is a resource for communicating content. So you need that resource in order to be able to communicate the content, but lexis is the one which is central. Also, another very interesting and appealing point in my view is that language is text and discourse based. So it's not about chunks, it's not about phrases, sentences anymore. It's more than that. It's about texts, it's about paragraphs. So you need to be able to like talk at length, talk in paragraphs about a content. So it gets longer and longer. And now theories of learning suggest that teachers should be able to provide comprehensible input for their learners. Imagine that you are a subject teacher, let's say mathematics or physics, doesn't really matter, and you want to teach mathematics or physics, let's say, or biology, let's say, that's much tangible. So imagine that you are a biology teacher and you want to teach biology to ESL or EFL learners. So those learners who are learning English as a second language or as a foreign language. So they're not native speakers. So how do you teach biology? You teach that, first of all, you wanna, like, the language that you use to teach biology is English, okay? So, and they're not native speakers. So how do you teach it? You need to be able to teach that subject, which is biology in this case, in a very simple way. So using simpler words, maybe using synonyms, antonyms, or maybe paraphrasing, maybe sometimes repetition helps you to provide a very comprehensible input for the students so that students follow you and understand you. That's a very important thing, obviously, right? As a subject teacher, you need to also be focusing on the language as well. So if the students like make mistakes with the language that they use, with the structures or with the wrong use of words, maybe you give them corrective feedback. So students do not just simply pick up the language, just like from exposure to the language, it doesn't mean that they know the structures or they have understood the structures. No, you need to give them corrective feedbacks to help them grow and develop. Another one is prior knowledge. So they might know some things about biology in this case, but they are not so sure about it. So you need to kind of elicit their prior knowledge. You need to know how much they already know about biology and start from there to continue. And also negotiating of meaning and scaffold learning. Negotiating of meaning in case of two learners or two participants, I think that's a better example, that they start communicating and interacting with each other, and as well as they communicate and interact, they might sometimes, like, one of them might not understand the other person, then he might or she might say, like, I didn't get you, then maybe she or he has to repeat him or herself and then maybe provide further examples or paraphrase in order to make this person understand. So that's a negotiation of meaning in order to get to that, so both of them can understand each other. Scaffold learning happens between someone who is a bit more educated and between someone who is more educated and someone who is less educated, let's say between a learner and a teacher. Me editing here, I noticed that I didn't give you a pretty good explanation of this scaffolded learning. So upon further research, I stumbled upon this page that gave a pretty good explanation of this scaffolded learning. It was mentioned that in scaffolded learning, instructors, first of all, it's a classroom technique in which instructors try to deliver distinct segments and providing less and less support as they go further to help students master the concepts and all the materials. The syllabus is really dependent on the course maybe or on you. If you want to put the focus on language more, or if you want to put the focus on the content more, the syllabus changes drastically. So here in this approach, learners are very active. They should be participating in all activities, collaborating, interacting with each other, and also they should be learning the language by doing it. So these approaches, CBI and CLIL, are the strong versions of CLT. The strong version says that you need to use the language in order to be able to learn it. In this case, it happens the same thing. They learn by doing, so they use it in order to learn it. Now, let me talk about the adjunct model. Adjunct model actually is a model of CBI in which two courses are linked to each other. In one of the courses, a content teacher teaches subject or a topic or a content, and another one, the language teacher has to focus on the structures that the content teacher uses in order to help the students follow and understand the content more.